Hi everyone, I'm Aarti Deveshwar. Welcome to my studio. Today I'm going to show you the process that I go through when I'm making a new art print. This is the Indian papaya print and I painted it in my sketchbook. So today, in real time, I'm going to show you how I came up with the concept, did the final artwork, and then scanned it in order to produce the final print. Now, as I said, I'm going to do all this in real time, so this is going to be a long one. Get yourself a cup of coffee or tea or a glass of water, pick up some paints if you'd like to paint along with me, and then let's get started. Also, don't forget to hit the like button if you like my videos, and if you would like to see more videos from me, please do click subscribe so you'll be notified of any further videos. Now, let's get into this. Next page, put my clip back on. I'm going to start with a couple of doodles just to make sure I know where I'm going and what I'm doing. And I'm going to use the Polychromos for that. So I know it's an A4 size, so I'm just going to draw a random couple of squares. They don't have to be too straight or anything, and obviously this is my sketchbook, so I'm not very particular about being neat and tidy unless I'm doing a piece that I'm going to scan later. So we've got that, and just do the top edges a little bit. And I think I'm going to use orange because I'm going to draw a papaya. And beforehand I just want to sketch out the papaya a little bit. This is what it looks like. That's the general shape of a papaya. Maybe not so pointy at this end. Right, and then it has seeds in the middle, just like that. And it has loads of seeds, like so. And maybe just do a little bit of shading. But in general, that's what a papaya will look like. Kind of. Right? And then what I'm going to do is take my palette, which I've already popped a bit of water in, and take one of my favorite brushes. I've already got all my things here ready. So you can see my nice clean water, my brushes, Polychromos pencils, extra tubes of colors that I might need, and my rag. So that's over there. And this is one of my favorite brushes. It's the Angle Shader from System 3 by Daler-Rowney, and it's the 1/4 inch brush. And you can see it's at an angle, and it really helps me get in all the corners and the details without having to change brushes. So I can do flat washes, or I can do just a little bit. So first of all, I'm going to try and mix my color. So usually what I do is, this is my orange section, so I tend to mix my color, and I've got a bit of yellow, right? So I've got a deep dark red there, orangey red. I'm going to take some more yellow, and as you can see, I just dip my brush in random places. I mean, everybody works differently, I suppose, but this is how it works for me. And this is an Indian papaya, so it is not pale like the ones you get here. I am actually craving that papaya, and I can't get it unless I go to an Indian store, and right now I'm shielding because of lockdown. So all I can do is draw it, and mostly that's what I do, right? I draw food that I love and that I can't eat. So here's my orange. Just going to do a nice swatch over here so I can remember it for later, and I can color match it if I want to. And because, like you already know, I only have a limited number of colors, I usually know. So can you see how this angle shader is just really getting in the corners? It can get me a really nice rectangle without having to use a pointy brush. I'm not a huge fan of pointy brushes usually, which is why I'm not keen on using it. But let me just get these out of the way and put them in the palette. And there we are. And then for the dots, what I want to use is probably a black. I'll use a black for that. So these are secondary colors, so I generally make a smaller rectangle so I know that that's what I'm going to use as subsidiary color. And I'm going to do another section of the black just so that I can do white on top. And let that dry for a little bit, and it's gouache, so it dries really fast, so it's touch dry almost. And then I'm gonna just draw on it. So here we are, and now I'm just, while these are drying, this is why I kind of work in stages. So while these are drying, I am going to do a little bit of layout. Now I am going to have a white border, so I'm going to stick the tape on a little bit, and you can see that. But the options are to have the papaya coming out like this, right? And this will be in black and white. If you've seen my pomegranate print, you know what I'm talking about. If not, go check it out. And then the other option is to have it sort of like that. And again, that'll be in black and white. And I think those two are more pleasing. I had this thought, but I'm not sure that this one will work out quite so well. Or I guess I could just do it another one like this. No, I don't like this one. That's a no. That's a no straight off. No, I think that's a no. I think that one might work out well, because if you think about it, the way I'm going to have it in the background, now I don't have an orange polychroma, so I'm just going to use a red one. How I'm going to have it is going to have them in the background as well, just all over like that. And I think this one will work out the best because everything will be in the same direction, like so. So what do you think? I think this will work out the best, like that. And then there will be, actually let me just use a different thing for that. So there'll be white over here and then black things like that. Yeah, I think, actually, let me just show you the original drawing. Here it is. Here it is. So this is what I'm aiming for, but with a papaya. So that at this point I didn't have bleed proof white, so this time it'll be a little bit whiter, I think. Or I might just use it because I do like that kind of feeling to it. So I think let's go with this one. Let's go with that one and not that. So this one was a question mark. So for later when I'm looking back at my sketchbook, I like to just put the question marks. And then I lost track. Anyway, so I'm going to do that one, and then we'll see how it goes. So that's the kind of shape I'm going for. That's the kind of layout, and those are the colors. Now this has dried, so I'm just going to do a little bit of my white Posca, which I hope it works. I hope it's not too dry. So yeah, I think it'll work. If I go slowly, it's not so dry. So that's how I'll get the outline on the papaya, and then the white as well, there, like so. And then I'm going to do a little bit of detail for how I'm going to do this bit, like here. So I've got the papaya, right, that's the outline of it. And then I'm going to do a thin border like this because it has a green rind. Remember, a papaya has a green rind, which you don't want to eat, FYI. And then there's the little orange bit in the middle. And then I'm going to just use this section like that and have all the circles in there. So there'll be, I think that will be white, and that will be black, and then that will be black again with white outline, and then these will be white. So planning ahead a little bit, just so that I know what I'm doing. And on the outside it'll be the same but with color.
So black/orange, black/orange, and then the white with the outline. I think that'll probably work. So let's put that one away. Here we go. This is my page where I'm going to get started. So I have my reference on the left. And then if I need to refer to my colors, which probably I don't at this moment, I can do that as well. Here we are. Right. And at the moment, I'm trying to finish my stock of Scotch tape. So I'm going to just use that for my outline. And I generally like to work with an outline just because it's tidy and it gives me a space in which I can just fiddle around. I don't have to worry about the rest of the pages being mucky. So, and yes, unfortunately, I do use my teeth to cut it. So we have that, and I fold the end over so that it's easy for me to grab it to peel off later. Let's fold the ends. Just use my nail to tamp it down. It's my sketchbook, so I don't really care if I make too many mistakes. It'll be fine, I'm sure. And just turn that around so it's a bit, oops, I have dropped my tape. And I like the fact with this actually, even though it is plastic, and which is why I'm trying to finish it so that I can get onto my paper tape, is this, that you can't actually see any of the borders. So when you're painting, it's like you're painting on a white sheet. Oh, I forgot to fold that one down, didn't I? That's okay. There we go. Now I'm just making sure to really squeeze down those edges. And let's get started. Now for this, I'm just going to use my regular pencil. This is a Staedtler Mars Micro 0.7mm, and I use this a lot for drawing because I really like that it stays pointy. Anyway, so let's get started. I hope you can see my pencil because it is fairly light, but you will see once I start drawing, so that should be fine. So let's just get the papaya going. I'm going to do a slightly irregular outline because that's the kind of papaya you get in India. And I think you can see that outline. And then you can see here's where the tape is. So I can actually make notes and things on here if I want to. So I'm going to use that outline. The nice thing about gouache is that you can use a really dark pencil outline and it doesn't really affect the paint on top. If you are using a wash, then it does, obviously, but not too bad. And then I'm sorry if you can hear noises because the dog's back from the walk, so I apologize for any background sounds. So here's the green outline, and I am stylizing it a little bit, obviously, because I don't want to make it too realistic. I mean, as you can see from this print, it's not realistic at all. And I do want them to be a nice match set. That's that. That goes there. And yeah, the top bit. The top bit there. And then let's go. I want to have a fair amount of black as well. So maybe, you know what, I might do another outline here. Like that. Black, and then that'll be a white outline as well. Yeah, I think that. So that's the thing about the working in a sketchbook, is that you can really amend things as you go. This is not the final, and it may, I mean, it may, if it turns out well, it might be a final. Now, this is my Derwent eraser stick thing, so it comes out like that. Usually I would use a, I've forgotten what it's called, kneaded eraser, but I can't find it at the minute, which is why I hate these little eraser things that come off, but I can't really find that one, so too bad. I don't know where it's gone. Here we go. Yeah, Should be a little bit wider like that. And then we'll do a border as well. There we are. There we are. I think it should go up like that because it really does. It really does. Okay. Maybe not. That bit's not right there. There we go. That works. And okay. Now let's get the other papaya shapes in. Too pointy. There. Papaya shape 1. And maybe I'll do another from the top so they're not all going up in one direction. I'd like them to sort of overlap. It is kind of like an abstract painting, isn't it, almost? So here we go. So that, and then another one here. Sometimes I really have to check where my border is, and then there's enough space there for another one. And another one like comes around like that and goes around. And then the background I will just fill in with a darker color, I think. And maybe that one can come out a bit further. I don't want quite so much dark space. Oh, I really hate this. I wish I could find my kneaded razor. But maybe it can go like that instead. And then these will be like dark spaces, so I can just mark them off. And another one there, and that's a dark space. And another one here. Now let me just do all the borders on them, that dark space. Border, border, border. Ooh, see, when I'm doing the borders there, I've suddenly noticed I've got a missing spot. So I need to do something there. That papaya, I guess, will come down here then. And then that will be a spot. But maybe I can extend this papaya a bit, so there's not so much of a spot. This is why I do a pencil drawing beforehand. And let's get that bit, the seedy bit. And I'm going to do a different seedy bit on each of them, so it's not too monotonous. You know what, if this turns out really well, which I have a feeling it might actually end up being the final print, and then you would have seen it being made. What do you think? You want to take bets on how well this is going to turn out, or whether I'm going to mess it up halfway by sticking my hand in the gouache or something? Which has happened previously. But with gouache, unlike with watercolor, you can fix it because you can continue painting on top. And then just carry on. There. And what was I doing with that? See, it's not quite a nice papaya shape. So if it continued over there, that's where it would end. Not over here. That's an empty spot. And then this one would come down like that. So border, border, border. Border, border, border. I really like how the pencil draws on the Scotch tape as well. So you can actually continue off your thing there and then know how it goes. And then this, I'm just literally going to follow the edge and let it overlap this bottom one. That would be nice, I think. Yeah, I think I'm quite happy with that. So let me go with, what shall I go with? I'm going to go with this one first, probably, because it's just black, and then I can think about what I want to do with the rest. Where's my angle brush? Let me get my palette a little bit closer. I tend to put away things neatly and tidily so that I don't drop things like I did the tape, you see. So I'm managing my own clumsiness and inefficiency. But where to start? Where to start? Now, this bears a little bit of thinking about before I start. So, I think, yeah, so that's going to be black, isn't it? So let's just start with what I know is going to be black. And I get it nice and flat. And you see what I mean? I can get a really nice border with this flat brush. And once again, if you want to know, it's the 1/4 inch angle shader System 3 from Daler-Rowney. I've had this brush for years and years and years, and I don't know if they make it still. They probably do. I really hope so, because I feel like I should get one and stock up on it just in case something happens to it. Because like you guys know, we have a dog now, and he gets into all sorts of things, and if he ever chews any of my brushes, I mean, he's not allowed in my studio on his own, but just in case he does that. See, now you can see here, when I paint, you can see the edge of the tape. So let's go that. Let's get a wiggly edge. I'm really not using much water at all. I just want a really nice flat black. Almost pure paint. But a little bit diluted so that I get a wet edge. I don't want a dry one. Don't want a dry edge. And there we go. Oop, too much water. And you see, because it's pre what's the word? Sized. I always forget that word for some reason. Because it's pre-sized, I don't need to tape it down onto something, and it's not really buckling as such. Here we go. Quite pleased with that. And a little more water. And there we go. And I'm not too bothered about it because, as I said, it's gouache and I can do the bleed proof white on top. So if I miss anything, I can just paint over. I can just paint over. There we go. Don't know if you can see, I'm getting a nice flat gouache wash. And then the middle is going to be black as well. So, using a little border. And because the paper is white, I may not even have to use the bleed proof white, just to kind of touch it up a bit perhaps. There we go. And again, the joy of the angle shader is that it goes in the corners and I don't have to use a different brush. Sometimes I just paint using just this brush. Most of the time, in fact. This one and maybe a slightly thicker one if I'm doing larger areas. There we are. Actually, tell me what you're doing right now. Are you just watching, or are you painting, or are you washing your dishes? What are you doing? Side by side watching me. Are you still working? Are you also opening up your sketchbook and doing some doodling? There we go. And that's that papaya finished. Right, and there's a few things that I might correct. And so now for the papaya, what I'm going to do is going to do 3 different colors. So I'm going to use the dark orange for the main papaya, and then I'm going to do a lighter color and then a darker color for the back. So let me just do the darker color first. I'm just going to take some of that pre-mixed orange and I'm going to put it into this well because I've already got some red there, and it just makes it a slightly darker orangey red, right? And then I've got that here. See? It's a nice terracotta almost. And I can see that in comparison to that, and I really like it. So, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a smaller brush. Actually, maybe not. I'm just going to use that one. See? This is what happens. I choose a different brush and then I think, I don't need it. So let's use that. And then I'm going to start from the top because I'm right-handed. From there. Then it works out well. You can see the paint doesn't really stick to the Scotch tape. And if you're wondering why I'm trying to finish off my Scotch tape, I got a real big batch of it before I realized that plastic tape really isn't very eco-friendly. So now I'm trying to be more conscious of that. But being eco-friendly doesn't mean you just chuck out things and replace them with stuff. Oh, see, I missed a bit there. I missed a trick. So that needs to go up there. And then that needs to get painted in. So, anyway, so that's why I have a batch of Scotch tape that I got that I need to finish. And I generally am trying not to buy too many things in terms of art materials because, I mean, I'm sure you know, it's very tempting to get all the art materials and then you hardly ever end up using them. Sorry, just adjusting my chair so I don't slip away. And swap. I think this is going to be a really nice, soothing piece. The pink one is a little bit more peppy. Again, nice flat wash. I don't generally keep records of color mixing because over the years I've gotten fairly good at it, and I can pretty much guess what I've used to mix, because again I have limited colors, so I know what I've used to mix a particular color and I can probably redo it at any point. I don't really need to keep those records. And that's that. And I think that's all the dark bits, and I have enough paint so that if I need to, oops, see there's little pointy, there's little stuff stuck on here. Let's get rid of that. It's just dried gouache and it doesn't really do well in a sketchbook if the pages are sticking together. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. So that's that, and then I'm going to do darker color in the middle, lighter color on the outside. Maybe really light, yeah. Medium color on the outside, and then lighter, no. I'll do the orange, this orange there, and then I'll make slightly lighter orange. Oh, run out of space on my palette. Here we are, let's just use this side. Just got a bit extra. And then I'm going to take some yellow. And I'm also going to take some of that flesh tint. Like I said, I'd rather call it peach. And then I'm going to use that for the outside. Still a nice orange, isn't it? Maybe a bit more flesh tint. Peach. Okay, let's try that. And let's start from here. Actually, you know what? I think it needs a bit more red. Yeah, that's better. Water. And I'm sorry if I'm not talking too much. Like when I concentrate, it's a little bit difficult to talk. So I hope you're just enjoying kind of watching what I'm doing. It's pretty self-explanatory. I don't really need to yak about it all the time. There. Mix some more. I don't even mind if they're all slightly different colors, actually. Gives it a little bit more depth. Sometimes I feel like the first drawing that you do, you're always second guessing yourself later on, thinking, should I have done it that way? And should I really actually do it a different way? I don't know. Sometimes you're wondering all the time, and then somebody asked me. I was actually chatting to someone on Zoom the other day, and they asked me why my studio was so tidy and how I managed to keep it that way. And the answer is that the inside of my brain is so cluttered that if I had a cluttered studio, I would never get anything done. I would literally never get anything done. So the insides of my cupboards and my drawers might not be quite so neat, but definitely the outside, the table surfaces and things are a bit tidier so that I'm not surrounded by things and by clutter when I'm actually working, so that my brain is free to think. And the clutter inside my brain is not affected by any clutter outside my brain, if that makes any sense. So, are you a neat studio person? Are you a messy studio person? I guess in studio shame is a thing, whether it's tidy or neat or untidy. There we go. The dog also has a part to play in this, because I have tidied my studio because I don't really want him to eat anything that's because, as you know, I paint silk as well as paper, so I don't really want the silk to go in his mouth. Oh, see, I missed another bit where I need to put in the center of the papaya. Let's put the center in and paint the outside. I really love this angled brush. Isn't that nice? And actually, it doesn't take a lot of gouache to do a painting like this, because I mean, you saw how little I mixed, and I'm just adding a little bit more water to that, and I think I will be able to do the whole thing with it. So I do turn my book around a lot. I find it easier to work that way. I mean, filming wise, I don't know if it's making sense to you, but you're watching me work right way up, so I guess it would make sense. I hope. Anyway. Well, I'll watch this back at some point and then figure it out, and then next time if it doesn't work, then I'll try and work straight. But this is generally how I work, and I'm kind of supporting my hand as well in that way. And I find that my hands shake a bit because of my medication, so when I'm working, I find it easier to work with a brush now, because it does reduce the wobble a little bit. Not by too much, but it does reduce it somewhat. Oh, am I on the... Oh, I am on the border there. That's why I didn't do that. So here we are. And you know, I don't really like this extreme white border here, so I will probably mix a third color and do that. And do that as well. There we go. Managed to get that border in one go. neat, tidy. There we go. Bit more water. I think I might have to mix a little just for the last one. Oh well, we'll see if I can scrape the rest off. See here, it's not quite flat there because I changed colours. So let's just generally do a gentle wash on top. See, this is what I mean by gouache is so forgiving. Obviously, like if you wet it too much, then it will, let's just say, misbehave. And let's mix a little bit more. Peach. See, I haven't drawn the double border in here, but I know it's supposed to have one, so I don't think it'll be so much of an issue. I actually kind of like the color variation that I've got because I didn't mix enough. So I mean, happy mistakes. It's always trial and error, isn't it? And you learn things every time you draw, no matter how many years you've been drawing for or making for. And here we go. Tidy, tidy, tidy. There it is. So, that's done. Let's go back to the dark orange. Might mix a bit more. The red and the yellow. I really like this deep orange, I think. Oh, see, I've dropped some there. There we go. Clear that off. Kind of like that. Ah. See, I'm getting distracted now. But while I wait for that to dry a little bit, let's just fill that in. And that really gives you, because I'm not using that design, really gives you an idea of what the plan was. Is to have it all orange and that in black. And that's the thing, it's a sketchbook. If you make mistakes and things, it doesn't really matter, does it? It's only for you, and I mean, I'm showing it to you, and it's a little bit like stressful, but you never know. I mean, why not? Why shouldn't I show it to you? Here we go. So here's the dark bits. I'm going to start with the one that I did first or second, so that it's not too wet. Not that it is, I mean, it's gouache dries so fast. See, that one is a little too translucent. Might need a little more yellow in there. Coming through. I do a really fine border on the inside. They really like this one. I will work on it more, I think. But to start with, I think it works well. What do you think? Yes, Amy, happy accident. Happy accidents are the best, I think. There we go. Now I really feel like as soon as lockdown is over, I want my husband to take me to Hayes. I say take me because I haven't got my driver's license yet. This lockdown thing has messed up that too. And I want to go to Hayes, and I want to go to this place called Sada Superstore, which is pretty much like being back in India because they play. I think the owners are Sikh, so they play kirtans, which are basically Sikh hymns, which are played in their temples, which are called gurdwaras. And they play those, and it's literally like being back in India because they have all the things that they sell in India, and it smells like India, it feels like India, but without the horrible heat. And I can get all the things that I miss eating, and my husband can get all the things that he misses, and all the interesting vegetables and stuff, and the papayas. Proper full-size papayas. Not the tiny little ones that Sainsbury's sends you where there's like 3 bites and you're done and it's not even sweet. So there is that. And finish. Might as well finish a little bit. And see, I've missed a little bit there, haven't I? Wash that out. Fill in, check any spots. Yep, I think that's good. Now, what I'm going to do is, yep, it's fine. Now it is the fun time. Now I'm going to use white in the correct spots, I hope. I'm going to do all the outlines right at the end, because that's the place where I tend to mess up the most because I need to have a steady hand. Okay, so let's get to it. Let's get to it. I am going to use my Posca pen, which I hope will not let me down. I really need to get a new one, I think. Test, test, test. Oop. Get it working. Now, I think I'm just gonna do like some big, some small. Just do random sizes. That's how it is in real life. And here it is. Yeah, the Posca's working when I do it slowly, which is not my usual method of working. I do like to go quite fast. I don't know why, I just do. It also keeps my hand steadier when I work faster. When I'm slower, I make more mistakes. I guess my brain works faster, so I want my hand to go faster as well. Oops. There we go. My hands are always a bit of a mess after this. Come on, Posca. Well, not to worry. If this doesn't work out, then I do have another pen to work with. It's not a Posca, but it'll do. I'm just going to do slightly bigger circles towards the top. I just feel like it has too many little ones here. I need to do bigger circles. It's just a feeling, you know? Did you get that when you work? It's just you have a feeling and then you just go with it, and sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. And sometimes you think, why did I do that and mess up the whole thing? But everything's a learning experience. I don't consider anything a failure, because at the end of the day you've learned something by doing it. Yeah, I really like this now. I really like also the irregular fashion, the way the Posca pen, I mean, even though it's not perfectly clear, it's really nice the way it's working out. And there you go. And that papaya is done. And now for all the rest, let's get to it. I'm also going to make sure like I have some half circles so it looks like it's coming out from behind. Might have to do the other pen. I think it's the Bolotov pump marker, but I don't know if I have. Oh, it's the marker. I don't want to use that. Well, we'll see how long this lasts. How annoying. That is really annoying. Okay, let me see what else I have. This is the inside of my marker drawer. Oh wait, I have another postcard, but it's a thick one. This is a Molotov. Oh, I could use that. I guess I should have been a little more organized, shouldn't I? Some pens as well. So many pens. There's a jelly roll. No, that's not a jelly roll. That's the jelly roll. Okay. Come on, Posca. I don't even know if this works. Oh, it does, but it's so thick. No, I don't want to use this. No, not that one. And let's check the Posca. This is a Sakura Jelly Roll. One of my all-time favorite pens. It is really, really nice. And actually I think I used the Jelly Roll on this one. I did not use a Posca pen because I don't think I had the Posca pen back then. So let's continue with the Jelly Roll. I actually kind of like it for this. I'm kind of glad that I got the white on that one. And then on this one I'm using the Jelly Roll, which is slightly lighter, which actually might work out for the best. And as you can see, it darkens a little bit after you've worked with it. Happy accidents again. So I guess all works out well. Well, I'll try and keep the book straight as I'm working, even though it's natural to me to flip it around in all different directions. There we are. This must be fairly boring actually, just watching me draw random circles. But I guess in some ways it's kind of mesmerizing and it's a little bit meditative also while you're working. And after a while you start to wonder whether actually that shape is a circle or are you drawing something that's just kind of random. Some of them are ovals, they're not even circles, but they kind of look good, so I'm going with it. And adding little And sometimes you have deformed seeds inside things, don't you? So I guess it's more realistic to do that. Jelly roll is working really well, but I definitely need to get a new white Posca. Jackson's art, here I come. To be fair, I've been fairly good about buying art stuff, because I am trying to downsize my studio a little bit. There's so much stuff in here. Okay. I can actually go a bit faster with this. Perhaps I should have put on some background music, and that would have been nice. The magic of editing, I suppose. Although I'll have to figure out how to do that, because I'm not a great editor. I have this app on my phone called CapCut, and an app on the computer called, I think it's called Wondershare Filmora, which I find much easier than iMovie. I get very confused in iMovie. I don't really know what I'm doing. But those two seem to make it fairly easy. And then because Wondershare Filmora also has like arrows and things that are pre-done, so you don't actually have to do anything. You just put them in and then you put your text in. So that's really nice. And here we go. Let's get some little ones in here. What do you think of this one? Do you like it? Any improvements or suggestions? Constructive criticism, please. There we go. I'm actually surprised that I managed to do this without turning the book. So maybe I don't need to turn the book, but it just feels more comfortable to move my hand that way. Yeah, I definitely don't like the stark white lines on these, so I'm definitely going to make that change in a bit. I will do an outline in a lighter color, but not have it stark white. Last few circles. Oh my god, my hand is seizing up. Ah, the claw. Okay, so that's that. And let's get the outlines nicely done on these. For that, I'm going to use a really thin brush, and that is the 00 Series 7 Finest Sable Winsor & Newton brush. So there's that. In fact, let me just use the angle shader to mix a lighter tone. Or do I need a darker tone, perhaps? No, maybe a really, really light orange. So I'll just show you that. I've got the peach, aka flesh tint, and I'm just going to mix it in with the previous tone of gouache. And the thing is, you can reactivate gouache just by using some water. So it's just a really pale. Let me just test it on this. Yeah, kind of like that. Kind of like that. Let's do that. And again, I'm going to start from the top and work my way down. Yes, much prefer this to the stark white. That wasn't very tidy. Let's tidy that up. There you go. That's done. And then the inside lines as well. Actually, I'm pretty pleased with the way this has turned out. A few editing bits, and then I might actually make this into a print. Not where the tape is. Might need to add a little bit of... Anyway, that's fixing for later. There we go. I'm also tidying up the corners and the edges of the little dark sections, just so it's a bit neat. Hope you can see where my brush is going. Yeah, I'm kind of happy with them. I'm very glad that I added this peachy tone because the white was just getting to me. It was too much. For the inside again, I'm just going to use a similar tone. Gouache does tend to dry up, so it's a little bit easier to do this way. Ooh, need to reconstitute that gouache a little bit. Bit more water. Swirl it round. My neighbour has started to play his piano. He's an elderly gentleman, is about I guess he's in his late 80s, maybe early 90s. And every afternoon and evening he plays his piano, and because it's in his living room and my studio is in the front of my house, I can hear him through the I don't know if you can, I can hear him through the wall. And it's really nice. It's a proper piano, it's not an electric piano or anything. And he's really good. I play as well, but I'm absolutely terrible. I've only been playing for 2 years and been learning, and I'm absolutely miserable at it. I can't do both hands at one go. I can read music alright, not particularly well. But I mean, I'm not aiming to be a concert pianist or anything, I'm just doing it for myself. And I don't play in public, ha. So last few lines. I like how some of these lines are a little bit gnarly, just like papayas are. And then last lines. Last few lines on here. This is real time, folks. I'm sorry it's taking me so long, but this is how life works. You're watching me paint exactly as I paint in normal life. Not speeded up. This is not a time lapse. This is for real. Now, I feel like I need a little bit of depth. I feel like this has got a little too flat. And I feel like I need a less of a white border for this one. Maybe, or I need a black border on the outside. Okay, let me do that. Let me add a black border on the outside of that. Let's do... I'm not going to do it with the Posca because I want it to be a little bit more organic, shall we say. AKA messy. Yes, I prefer that. That was too much white before. For this, I'm sorry, I have to turn my sketchbook around. That. Let's fix that. Okay, I'm much happier with that now. I feel like I need a little bit more depth in the ones that are behind. So let me mix up some darker papaya shade and do that. I'm not going to need the papaya shade again, so I'm just mixing it into this, and let's test it here. I don't want it to be too similar to that, not too different from that, so maybe a little bit more yellow and a bit more peach. Oh, that was too much peach. So a bit more red. I think that should be it. Maybe too dark. Bit more yellow. Bit more yellow? Yes, I think that is it. A little bit more red and then I'm done. A little bit more red, maybe a different red. Or pinky red. Yes, I think that's it. What do you think? That looks a really nice shade difference. Just a tad more yellow and then we're good to go. And I'm going to do that for this one to start with. And the thing about gouache is that you can just paint over. Oh, so much nicer. Just a little bit more depth, not the same tone for everything. That just gets a bit boring, doesn't it? A bit more water. I want it to flow sort of smooth, not get stuck in places. I find if it dries too thick, then the sketchbook sticks together as well. Actually, if you would be interested in a sketchbook tour of my previous sketchbook, let me know. They're all unfinished. Well, maybe I finished one or two, but they're mostly unfinished sketchbooks. I guess 2020 should have been my year of finishing sketchbooks, but I just didn't manage it somehow. So let's just, oopsie, error there, but I can cover it up with black later. That's that. A bit more pointy. And cover that up with the black. As easy as that. I like it. I like it. And I think that one needs to go dark as well. That one needs to go dark for sure. Yep. I think that one is nicely done. And I think I need a little bit of white somewhere. But I'm going to use, probably, shall I use the Polychromos pencil instead? Will that look nice? Yeah, I think that will look nice on the edges. So, what's wet? What's wet? That's wet. Okay, let's start here. I think this is going to turn out better than the pomegranate. What do you think? That versus that? I think that's much nicer. This is what happens when you have perspective later on. Oops, now it's got some stuff on it. I don't think the Polychromos pencil is working out too well, so I think I'm just going to go back to using the really thin brush, which I have lost. Oops, where's it gone? There we go. It's in there. And I'm just going to use regular white. I'm going to use white gouache and take it out of there and just use that and dilute it a little bit so it's not so white. Okay, let's try that again. Too thick. Too thick. Well, I can fix that later. That's a bit better. Needs to be a bit more diluted. Yes, I think this is it. Can you barely see the white, but then there's still a sort of border. Just gives it a bit more definition, doesn't it? I'm gonna have to turn it. Sorry, guys. Here. Just makes it pop out a little bit more, I think. It's not too much, not too little. I think it's just the outlines I'm going to do. I'm not going to do the inside. It's just this that I wanted to pop out. There we go. Just making them, some of them a little bit lighter so that it stands out a bit more. So obviously it's in the foreground, supposed to be at least. How's that? I think that works nicely. Missed one here. And I think I'm going to do a white outline on the black as well, on the main papaya. Yeah. And after that, I think, folks, I think we're done. What do you think? Do you think I'm done? Or do you think I need to add a bit more? And there we go. Yes, I think this is it. Okay, what I'm going to do now is peel off the tape. Moment of truth, let's peel. Anybody here like peeling tape? I'm going to peel it really, really slowly so I don't lose any sheet. But you know, this sea white paper is so nice that even if you do peel it fast, it generally works really well. And see how nice the tape, how nicely the tape comes off, because it sticks really well onto the paper and it creates a really sharp edge. Paint peeling, ah, so satisfying. And that, oh, got a little careless there. Let me actually tape it back and fix that edge before I move ahead. See, messed up there, but it's my sketchbook, so actually guys, you know, I think this has turned out so well I might actually make a print out of it. We'll see. Check back in a month or so and you will be able to tell whether I did so or not. And that is the finished piece. That is going to go in my recycling bin. And I'm pretty happy with that. Here you can see some of the detail in the piece. You can see the colors that I tried out and the little shapes that I made. As you can tell from the title of this video, I did end up making a print out of this. I really enjoyed making it, and explaining how I made it made me think more about how I made it, why I use the colors I do, and why I use the techniques I do. I really like that despite using a flat gouache wash, I still do have some texture in this piece, as you can see from the detail here. Having decided to make this piece into an art print to match the pink pomegranate one, it took me about a month to actually get started on it. I put my sketchbook into my scanner and then imported it into Photoshop so that I could then edit the image. I gave it a nice clean white edge, as most of my prints have, and then I used one of the tools to edit out any imperfections that had come in through scanning or where something had got stuck to it in the month since I'd actually made it. And then I used the curves and the levels tools in order to adjust the colors a little bit. And as you can see, I've got my sketchbook right next to me so that I could make sure that the colors that I was getting in my print would match my original artwork. And then off to my printer it went. Finally, guys, the prints are here. I have opened it because I didn't want to show you my address. Oops, just gently. Look. They're all here. Oh, they look great. Here it is. Here's the papaya print. I'll just show you properly in a minute. But, I mean, hang on 1 second. I can show you this better, can't I? But also, sneak peek, some new prints. And then there's a massive one. I did an A3 size as well. Hang on 1 second. Let me flip this around and show you properly. So, this is a better angle, isn't it? Here are all the prints. I did them in A3 size.
So you can see there's the papaya. Beautifully, it's come out so nicely. All the details, and obviously I've just signed on the bottom here, like I would do for every print that goes out. It has my title here, and then my signature. And then on the backs, usually over here, I'm going to put in my certificate of authenticity, which basically says, Certificate of Authenticity. This is a digital print, an authentic representation of an original artwork by Aarti Devesher. All copyright and reproduction rights remain with the artist, i.e. me. And then I will handwrite the title and the year in which it was bought, sign it, and that's it. And there's a little care label down there as well. So that goes on the back of this, like so. So I need to do all of them, I need to sign all of them, but I am so happy with how this has come out. Here are the smaller ones as well, and they go like a two-piece set like that. You see how nicely it's reproduced. If you look at it in comparison to the original as well, let me just take off that protective sheet. And it's so close, isn't it? It's hardly any difference. Or at least I can't tell much difference. Like, well, obviously I can tell there's a difference because there's texture on this, not as much on this. But I think it's a pretty good reproduction. So, pretty happy with that. These are now going to get photographed and put in my online shop ASAP. Hopefully I'll manage to do that by the time this video comes out. I need some good light. And today there is light, but I don't think I'll get it done in time. We'll see. Anyway. Hi again, everyone. I really hope you enjoyed that as much as I enjoyed making it. And both the papaya print and its companion piece, Pink Pomegranate, are now in my online shop. So do let me know what you think of them and what you thought of this video as well. If you enjoyed it, please do click the like button. It really helps me out. And as I said before, subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more videos from me. Please leave a comment down below and tell me what you thought of my video. Let's have a conversation. Bye for now, and I will see you in my next video. Thank you for watching.